Good morning and welcome. My name is Chris Zanoni, and I'm honored to serve today as your worship leader. One thing I love about this congregation, and you'll see it today, is the engagement of us as congregants. So once a quarter, we have what I think has been dubbed a patchwork service, and it's lay-led, and so people get to be involved and create a service with a special meeting, and you'll see more about that today. And so I'm looking out at your faces. There are people who are actively engaged. We've got different committee members, board members, folks doing all kinds of things behind the scenes and on the scenes. So I just love the energy about this congregation. I heard that there were 60 plus people on Thanksgiving, having an amazing Thanksgiving get-together potluck. So that's just another great example of just that engagement and people jumping in and taking ownership of projects and getting involved. So I love that. Welcome to Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. I was back in my days of Prairie and Parker. Where did that come from? Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. I want to take a moment to extend a very warm welcome to everyone. If you're joining us online, please fill out a visitor form in the link in the description. We'd love to connect with you. Some of us are bringing our best selves to this space, and some of us are bringing our struggling selves. All of us are welcome here, and all of us are loved. Some of us already have open hearts, and some of us aren't quite there yet because our hearts have gotten a little beat up this week and might have forgotten how to trust and to open. Your heart is welcome here, no matter how bruised. We welcome you among us. All of us are imperfect, but we're here to drop our defenses and trust that what happens in worship is powerful and life-giving. Together we affirm that this day, our being together, can make each of us braver, more compassionate, and wiser than when we woke up this morning. We welcome you here. I have just one announcement that I'm aware of. I hope you're planning to join us this Friday evening from 6 to 8 for our December community night. Potluck, please bring a dish. And I've heard that there is an ugly sweater contest, ugly Christmas sweater contest. So if you've got something in mothballs, please bring it out and wear it. And please join us on Friday evening.
Let's take a moment to arrive at this worship service. I want to call us to worship with a poem from the poet Dana Falls. Let go of the ways you thought life would unfold. The holding of plans or dreams or expectations. Let it all go. Save your strength to swim with the tide. The choice to fight what is here before you now will only result in struggle. Struggle, fear, and desperate attempts to flee from the very energy you long for. Let go. Let it all go and flow with the grace that washes through your days, whether you receive it gently or with all your quills raised to defend against invaders. Take this on faith. The mind may never find the explanations that it seeks, but you will move forward nonetheless. Let go. And the wave's crest will carry you to unknown shores beyond your wildest dreams or destinations. Let it all go and find the place of rest and peace and certain transformation. So let's rise as we're willing and able and sing our opening hymn, For All That Is Our Life.
We sing our thanks and praise. For all life is
Our flaming chalice is the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. It suggests, perhaps, that within our separate selves burns a flame of unity and connection and compassion. Once felt, that fire cannot be extinguished. And so we gather, weaving our lives together. I'd like to invite Laura Coleman to light this morning's chalice.
Well, this is the perfect weekend to have a chance to tell you all how grateful I am to be part of this family. I moved to Superior to be near both my children, 2 children in the same place, and the youngest grandchildren. But I left my home and surrogate family of 40 years when I left Memphis. So it was quite a bittersweet experience. Here I was feeling secure and loving being so near my family, and yet yearning for friends and activities that had filled my life after my husband's death. It was the middle of COVID. Here and there, people were able to get together outside with masks, but it's really hard to meet people under those circumstances. And then there was Senior Salon on Zoom. It met every Wednesday. No one had to wear a mask. The people were welcoming and had interesting tidbits of ideas to offer. It was a wonderful way for me to begin connecting. Fred and Barb, this small service you persisted in making available was a godsend to me. And then I found the rest of you. How fun is that? I light this chalice in thankfulness for all the small kindnesses this family provides us.
We are not bound together by creed, a specific list of things we all believe exactly the same way. We are united by shared values expressed in our 7 principles and by the commitments we make to each other about what creates this community. To name that commitment, will you join together in person and online and speak our covenant aloud together as one? We gather in fellowship to speak truth to each other, to reach out and touch one another, to care with each other, and to seek the truth divine. So be it.
Let's sit quietly for a few moments in meditation. If you choose to close your eyes, this will be the time. Let's start with 3 deep breaths. You can even emphasize the exhale for its relaxing qualities. So the holidays have arrived, and they will depart. It's a natural flow with a beginning and an ending. Our job is just to experience this, not to grasp or to push it away. Let go of, what must I have to make my holidays happy? Or who or what is ruining my holiday? This is where openness and curiosity come into use. What opens you up? What makes you curious? Sit quietly for a moment now. Can you recall a time in your life when change showed itself? A seed was planted and cultivated and came into light and was allowed to grow. The change made itself known, perhaps suddenly. At first one insight and then another. And maybe you thought, how did I miss this wonder? The first step along this process is to relax, to make some space for yourself by letting go of thoughts and expectations. Slow down to your speed of life, not the one in the ad for the next toy or rushing to the next store. Enjoy the openness that comes with this relaxation. Let the yakety yak quiet down. Just feel the peace. Let the moths and wasps of thought or worry or concern, who won and who lost, let it go. What is there in its place is space, with the good soils, the vista, and the sky to help it grow. And allow this without judgment. It is called being, and it's our connection to the greater universe. It's always there, and it is now. I am, you are, and that is all. What is next is what it will be, but now is now, the open space of being. And like your breath, it's always there, waiting to be noticed. So let's take 5 deep breaths. So let's take a moment to bring to mind those things for which you're grateful or joyful this week. And then I invite you to bring to mind those things for which you grieve or for which you are worried. For all the joys and sorrows on our hearts, we hold this compassionate space with love. For those meeting here with us in person, I invite you to come forward as you feel moved. Silently take a stone and place it in the earth to symbolize your joys and your cares taking place in the larger whole, mingling with each other in the soil, held in the hands of the earth. So here we are together, standing on this deck of the good ship Christmas. As the shoreline slips out of view, there is no doubt that all of us on this deck are in this together. It can feel like that, particularly if you're part of a family that carries traditions and expectations laced with the need for perfection around the holidays. We all know we live in a consumer capitalist economy, and to no one's surprise, the period between Thanksgiving and Christmas is slammed with the expectations of gifts, material goods bought and given and received. And unfortunately, we're somehow measured by the way we do this. And so we feel the pressure to get it right. And it's all intentional. It's planned by stores and marketers months in advance and shipped from China, I might add. But the sense of lack is at the core of this, and the standard way of relieving this uncomfortable feeling is to buy something, and thus become worthy and cured of your sense of lack and being judged. Simple. So I'm going to ask today, can we relax with this pressure and not let craving take root in our hearts? We don't need to avoid the traditions, but to fill a place in your heart that's the true peace on earth, goodwill to all. I want to suggest that the practice of gratitude is a way around the discomfort and confusion that consumerism creates. The essayist Robin Kimmerer writes, "Gratitude is the thread that connects us in a deep relationship, simultaneously physical and spiritual, as our bodies are fed and our spirits are nourished by the sense of belonging, which is the most vital of foods. Gratitude creates a sense of abundance, the knowing that you have what you need. In the climate of sufficiency, our hunger for more abates, and we take only what we need with respect to the generosity of the giver." So for me, gratitude, I try to make a way of life. I'm reminded daily of the polarity and the contradictions that inhabit our communities here in Boulder and as far as Bangkok. You know, the whole world is full of this. Life is amazing, and then it's awful. And then it's amazing again, and then it's awful again. The rest is just ordinary, what's in between. But it's breathtakingly beautiful if you'll take a moment and notice it. Just being connected here in person is such a contrast from 2 years ago in 2020. That awful time of fear of the unknown threat and isolation from those that we love, and no sense of when we would be able to get together again. Do you remember the uncertainty that we all lived with? We didn't know how important it was to experience love in the room together. We got so accustomed to relating on the screen. And I know for some that was a godsend, and it was the best we could do, right? But now, gratefully, we can share. And this amazing Thanksgiving potluck of 60 people is just, it's the beginnings, maybe. Maybe it's a return. Our seventh principle speaks to the interconnected web of existence that we're all a part of. But it's so much larger and more complicated than we can comprehend. So where do we start? Well, we can start with gratitude for the big picture, our birth, our human birth, our bodies, and our good fortune to live a safe existence surrounded by bounty and love. I often notice this and have shared this observation of beauty and my gratitude with my neighbor, who will usually remind me that it's God's gift. I nod and smile. He has a deep-seated conviction in his Christian values that if we do the right thing, somehow some being, some creator will take care of us. And then I'm reminded how non-theism, which is where I come from, doesn't really focus so much on something to believe in or to measure up to. For me, there's no outside authority to be grateful to, but an experience that lifts me up and informs me of my responsibility for the impact on the interconnected web. Another writing from Tish Warren in the New York Times. She says, gratitude, like ingratitude, can be cultivated. Thankfulness is a daily practice that becomes a habit and can become a disposition. To begin to develop this disposition, we have to intentionally notice our interdependence and how much we receive from others. Everyone alive is here because someone sacrificed for us, birthed us, fed us, and cared for us. None of us are self-made. So in order to exercise this muscle of gratitude, we must live each day, at the very least, acknowledging how much we owe to others. We'll talk about a few practices. The first and the easiest practice of gratitude is just to say thank you. It feels good and appreciated when people receive it. Another practice is to notice the small gifts, what's called snacking on joy, that we can notice in our daily lives. We're alive. The pandemic is at bay. Dare say, it may be over. Who knows? Savor this and then release it and let it go. Another gratitude practice is to recognize all of the unseen people who support the society in bringing us these gifts. Typically, when we think of being more grateful in relationships, we focus on trying to remember to express gratitude for the things that people do for us and give to us that we can appreciate. The unexpected kindnesses, the perfect gesture of support, the thoughtful gift, the fabulous meal. Getting better at offering this kind of gratitude is surely a worthy aspiration. There becomes a benevolent cycle of reciprocity and this powerful energy exchange when we nurture these qualities. The more we experience and express appreciation for more people, the more all of us will benefit. There's a natural bond between gratitude and generosity. It's the sharing of gratitude from the sense of abundance and from kindness and caring for another. Either close people like family or the suffering far from our safe homes. How do we express this time of year authentically and honestly without the pressure to meet others' expectations, to measure up and to be worthy? Lots could be said here, but it's really personal, right? How we deal with this. A couple of thoughts. Mind your loyalty to love and caring over goods. Be cautious of the shiny stuff out there. If you get to feeling like your efforts are incomplete and not enough, leave it. Let it go. You do not have to do it all. This is where intention becomes so important. Rather than a vague impulse to buy, try and sit and notice a sense of contentment where you are, however that is that lives in you. By paying attention to these intentions, I believe you'll find out what's right for you. I invite you to trust yourself on this. So happy holidays and happy voyage on the good ship Christmas.
Good morning. The title of these thoughts is Don't Panic. When I was invited to speak on gratitude, generosity, curiosity, and openness as tools we can use in navigating these often fraught weeks of the holiday season, I thought, great, no problem. I've been thinking about those particular skills for years. I'm sure I have all kinds of useful thoughts to share. As I kept trying to put something on paper, though, nothing was really coming together. Finally, I asked myself, what are we hoping to do with more generosity, openness, and curiosity anyway? Answer, navigate our way through a season that some anticipate as hopeful, joyful, sparkly, full of reunions and celebration, while many others instead experience an impending gauntlet of extra stress, extra expense, gatherings they would rather avoid, memories they would rather forget, pretending to be happy when that's the opposite of the way they feel. Might it be better to commiserate? Just keep each other company, share stories, to laugh, especially to laugh? What would we like to do to celebrate and honor? Can we make some of that happen? Pema Children remembers a Gary Larson cartoon. Two women are standing behind their locked door, peeking out the window at a monster standing on their doorstep. One of the ladies is saying, "Calm down, Edna." Yes, it is a giant, hideous insect, but it may be a giant, hideous insect in need of help. Looking at it that way requires a big shift in what we think we're looking at. If we decide we see a horrible monster, we definitely keep the door locked, run, hide, and call 911. But if we can keep from panicking for even a second or two, enough to become curious, maybe we can approach it and ask if it needs something. Years ago, when my then husband and I were raising our two young boys outside of Boston, I had a painting studio where I was working on a series of paintings featuring Mimbres pottery against the southwestern landscape. Mimbres pottery is very old, very beautiful, and being so old, it has a lot of cracks. One morning I was at the studio when I got a call from my husband. He was calling to say that he was driving to the airport and flying to Canada to spend the weekend with the woman he had been seeing for the last 6 months. He would talk to me when he got back. End of conversation. I was devastated, in shock, and my world stopped. Up became down, black became white. Eventually, when I was able to pick up a paintbrush again, I painted one of those ancient, cracked pots, blowing apart with shards flying in all directions. As these shards exploded, you could see bits of the landscape and sky through the cracks. The finished painting helped to visualize my pain, but I can't say that looking at it made me feel much better. Later, when a reporter for the local paper came to the studio to do an interview for an upcoming show, we talked about that painting, and I told her the story behind it. When her article came out, nothing prepared me for what she wrote about that painting. She had written, The painted brittle bowl has broken entirely apart, and the world that has been hidden beneath is revealed. She had looked at the very same image, and instead of loss, she saw renewal. I was transformed by her perspective. That painting, formerly titled Breaking Apart, could now be retitled Breaking Through. I tell this story as a way of describing what a powerful phenomena it is when we only allow ourselves to see what we already expect to see. Maybe we don't need to see something as the opposite of what we thought, but we could shift things a bit, and they might become more workable. These could be the times we lean into a moment of suspense. We could allow a brief moment of curiosity and openness that may be enough to encourage generosity and gratitude. Trungpa Rinpoche shares, generosity is communication. Communication is giving and receiving. It's an exchange. Can we exchange some of our fears for an openness to possibility? Some of our sense of feeling overwhelmed, regretful, and lonely to feeling part of something and supported by our community? What is this time of year about anyway? The calendar year is winding down, the days are shorter and darker. We tend to take stock and look back on our year. It's not all on us to make it look like we are fine and cheerful. We are part of something supportive and loving, a community of fellow journeyers. Sometimes I call it a community of fellow three-legged racers as we all stagger along, trying to move ahead in the race we call life. Maybe this year we say to ourselves, don't panic. Maybe it is the season itself that needs our help. Giving ourselves that split second to pause before letting a judgment or a fear or a habitual response kick in might be just enough to allow a reconnection with our curiosity, our openness, our generosity, and our gratitude. In closing, I share these words from John O'Donohue. May you discover a new generosity toward yourself and encourage yourself to engage your life as a great adventure. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Jack. This month, our offering goes to Boulder Food Rescue. Here are some words from our friends at the Boulder Food Rescue. Boulder Food Rescue facilitates the redistribution of produce that would otherwise be wasted from grocery stores to communities living with low income. They take food directly to no-cost grocery programs, community-led distribution points that happen at affordable housing sites or preschools, bypassing barriers to accessing food. They do it by bicycle. They continue, however, our work is much deeper than that. We know that food insecurity is a result of economic insecurity. The minimum wage in Colorado makes it impossible for many Boulder residents to afford life's basic necessities, leaving community members choosing which basic needs they'll satisfy and which they'll go without. In other words, should I pay my rent, get a medical procedure I need, or buy food that supports my family's health and well-being? There is so much more we can build with the trust and community power we hold that will lead to long-term systems change for our program participants so they don't struggle with hunger in the first place. In the coming years, we plan to explore more possibilities that increase access to food through long-term systems change and creative programming, all of which keeps us striving towards our vision, where community is a part of and well provided for by a food system that is healthy for all beings and the earth. And one of their coordinators said, "I've had many people in our community share how the grocery program has impacted them. One child cried when his mother took home fresh vegetables from the donations. She later told me she doesn't normally cook vegetables, so it was a healthier treat for their whole family. One teacher has said that she would not be able to afford as many fresh fruits and veggies, and would not learn how to cook them on her own, but that participating in the program has helped her learn more about healthy eating, in addition to the accessibility piece. Another family has repeatedly thanked me for being a part of the program. She's so grateful for the food donations. I invite you to give as generously as you're able. For those online, you can use the QR code or find a link in the video description. For those gathered in person here, you can scan the QR code or make a donation as the ushers now pass the baskets. May our gifts be used to enact justice, bringing peace and love to the Boulder community." Your music is such a gift, Ben. Thank you. We receive this offering with gratitude. It is the outward and visible manifestation of an inward commitment to changing lives and changing our community. Please join us in the closing hymn, "Love Will Guide Us." The words are on your screen. It takes a village.
Our closing words are from the poet Dana Falls. This is what I have to say to you. Into the open field of your awareness, into the circle of your life will come everything you need to make your way in this world. This isn't magic. It isn't something you have to make happen. Just open to receive. And the universe flows easily into the space that you've created. Of course, this takes faith. Of course, it takes trusting yourself. Of course, it may seem like nothing is happening, but in truth, what you need is coming forth from the infinite to meet you here in form. All you need to do is say yes. Again and again, say yes. Push nothing away, because true gifts come in surprising disguises. Will you please rise in body and spirit as we close in song?